Okay, so we'll talk this evening about something that could give us motivation to do whatever good things that we do in a better way. There is a famous Mishnah. We're saying it in Shul so many times. And the Mishnah is in Masechet Avot, Perek Vav, Mishnah Yud Bet, chapter 6, Mishnah 12. So the Mishnah says the following. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashia אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות. שנאמר, השם חפץ למען צדקו יגדיל תורה ויאדיר. I'll translate it. Rabbi Hanania ben Akashia is the name of the great Tana in the Mishnah. He said the following. הקדוש ברוך הוא, God, wanted, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא, לזכות את ישראל. Now, this is a word, lezakot. You have to understand what lezakot is. Lezakot is, in the pshat, in the simple understanding, to get the Jews, Israel, the Jews, merit. You want to give them merit. Therefore, לפיכך, הרבה להם תורה ומצוות. He gave them a lot of mitzvot, a lot of commandments. Okay, so we'll start from this. We'll first try to understand what is the meaning of harbe, hirba lahem. He increase the Torah and mitzvos to the Jews. So I mentioned a few times during the lectures in this weekend that the Torah was not given just to the Jews. Torah are instructions, directions, and before even the Jews came to the world, before Avraham Avinu, which was the first one, the first forefather of the Jewish nation, was mitzvahs in the world. Hashem gave Noach 7 mitzvahs. 7 mitzvahs that Hashem gave to Noach. So, when you compare what all the people in the world, the sons of Noach, has, compared to what we as Jews have, for sure it's a lot. They have 7. We have 613, right? So it's a lot. It is. So this is the meaning of this. Hirba lahem gave them, instead of just the 7, 613. Why? So it says over here, because Hashem wanted lezakot et Israel. Now what is the meaning of the word zchut? There are actually 2 meanings. First, as I said before, the simple understanding is that we'll have merit. That they will have merit. But the word lezakot in Hebrew also means purification. To purify. When you have water that are dirty with a lot of dust and other stuff, you purify the water, so the water become clear and clean, right? That's called in Hebrew zikuch, lezakot, lezakech. Okay, so if so, we have to understand what we have to purify. What do we have to purify? Why it's so important to purify? When you purify, you have to understand what is the essence of the thing. What are the dirt that you want to take out? Okay? So what is the meaning relate to a human being? In order to understand it, you have to understand what a human being is. And I go back again to the famous verse that it describes how Hashem created Adam. So let's go back again to this verse. It's in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. ויצר השם אלוקים את האדם עפר מן האדמה, ויפח באפיו נשמת חיים. So Adam is a combination of body and a soul. And for our discussion over here, physical dimension and spiritual dimension. Physical, the body is physical, and the neshama is spiritual. Now about the neshama, we're saying in the davening in the morning, in the prayer, we say, Elokai neshama shenatata bi tehorai. The neshama that you gave me is pure. Tahor is pure. It's pure. So, between the body and the soul, one of them is pure. It means that the other one is not that pure. Right? So we have in us 2 things, the physical and the spiritual. The spiritual is pure, and the physical is not pure. So if it's not pure, you need to purify it. So this is the meaning of the mitzvot. The meaning of the mitzvot is to purify the physical dimension of us because it's not purified. In what way? Now let's try to understand what. There is a Gemara, and the Gemara bring a very interesting parable with a lot of wisdom in it. The Gemara will bring a discussion or a conversation that happened with one of the Roman Caesars, between one of the Roman Caesars. He was a great scholar. His name was Antoninus. To his best friend. His best friend happened to be the president of the Sanhedrin of the Jewish nation. His name was Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi and Antoninus were good friends, very good friends. So, Antoninus wanted to learn from the Jewish wisdom. So he came to Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. And he asked him the following question. A human being is a combination of body and a soul. After 120, a person stands in court upstairs and they judge all the deeds that this person did in his entire life. So he said, Antoninus says, you know what? I could be a very good lawyer for this person. I could say to God, he's the judge, okay? You could not blame me for doing wrong thing. How? Because the body will say, it's not me who did anything. Want to prove? Since I died, I'm lying down there in the grave. I'm not doing anything. So it's not me. When the soul was in me, I was able to do things. So it's not me because when I'm alone without the soul, I could not do anything wrong. So don't blame me. The soul will come and say the same thing. Since I separated from the body, I'm not doing anything wrong, right? So you cannot blame me. So each one of the parts will say separately, it's not me. That's the question that Antoninus asked Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. So Rabbi Yehuda Anasi said to him, I want to answer you, I'll give you a parable. Mashal lemelech. It was a king, once upon a time was a king, and the king was very smart, and he liked different kind of foliage and trees. So he planted a beautiful garden with all the trees that you could imagine, that you could get. Some of them very rare, from different places in the world, and he made a beautiful garden. It was very important for him that the garden will stay good, intact. So he put a fence around the garden. He made a gate, and he put 2 guards in the gate. So no one will come and ruin the garden. But it was so precious to him that he didn't even trust the guards. They might be hungry and try to eat from the fruits. So he chose 2 guards. One of them was without legs. So he could not go, could not walk. The other one has legs, but he was blind. So the blind one could not see the temptation of the beautiful fruits. The one without the legs see, but he could not go, could not walk. And he put them in the gate. After the king left, the one without the legs but with the ability to see told the other one that was blind, you know, where are we now? It's so beautiful over here. There are such a nice fruits over here. I really want to try them, but I could not walk. The other one say, really? Could you describe to me? And he described to him, and their imagination went on and on. So then they got to the I have a good idea, he told him. Listen, you could not walk, but you see, right? I could not see, but I could walk. Come, I'll put you on my shoulders, and you direct me, and we'll get to the trees. And that's what they did. And they, of course, made a whole celebration, a whole party, and they ate as much as they can. After a few days, the king came. The king came and he saw, wow, the devastating situation. So he started asking them, what's going on? Someone entered, said, no, the gate was closed. We was watching. No one came. So what happened? So there is no choice but to, if no one came from outside, it's you. So they came to him and say, Your Honor, you cannot blame me that I went. I have no legs. And the other said, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't see. Right? So that was the question of Antoninus. Says Rabbi Yehuda, see what the king did. The king say, aha. So I'll put you go on the shoulder of this guy, and I'm going to judge you together. Together. You're right. Each one of you could not do it, but together you could, and this way you did it. Okay? So that was the story. I want not to relate the entire implication. This is a very deep story. I mean, but to one thing. The blind and the, how do you say, limbs, the one without the legs? Okay? The one, how do you say person without the legs in Gidem? How do you say Gidem in English?
Without the legs?
A person without the legs. Something. No, there is a word, but whatever now.
Legless.
The legless. The legless person. No, there is a word. Anyway. So, actually, what the Gemara says over here, that the body and the soul are parable to those two. So who is, between the two, the body and the soul, who is the one without the legs? The body or the soul? What do you think?
Who is what?
The one without, who is the blind one and who is without the legs? Between the body and the soul.
The blind one would be
The soul is the
soul.
eye. The one with the eyes.
No, no legs.
The soul,
Is no legs.
No legs.
the soul has no legs.
I
The soul
I
has
think
no,
it's the other way around.
what is this?
I think the soul has no eyes.
The soul can see, but body.
Exactly. So the soul could see but could not do anything. It has no legs, right? The body has legs, but here is the thing: the body could not see. The body could not see. Now let's go deeper in this. What do you mean the body could not see?
But it's just a flash.
You understand that the garden is the world, the entire world, right? And the body and the soul are the guards, which is, okay? The body, we learn from here, is a blind one. The meaning of this is something really, really amazing when you think about it. I want to show you how the body is blind. There is a common denominator between our body and the body of the animals. Actually, Shlomo HaMelech speak about it in Sefer Kohelet, and he said, "Motar ha'adam min ha'behema ayin." There is no benefit for the human being over an animal. In what way? Of course, a human being is intelligent, has a soul. What do you mean? It means in the physical dimension. In the physical dimension, there is no difference between a human being and an animal. You know, the DNA is just change of the code of the DNA, and you got the difference between an elephant to a mosquito. It's not something in the essence of it. It's the same DNA, but different order. That's it. Same way, there is no difference. You know, when you want to find a cure for an illness, you try it on mice, and then on rabbits, and then on monkeys. And when you know the difference in the DNA, you could fit it to human being also, right? Mm-hmm. So there's no difference in the body, the material of the body, between animal and a human being. And yet, something amazing if you look. Animals know how to run their body without being intelligent. They are not overeating. Never. They're not staying in the sun, exposing themselves to, radiation, get cancer, and things like this, without learning biology, nothing. It's instinct. They have a built-in system that they do not want more things that could destroy them. The human being, the intelligent creature, with his intelligence, could do so stupid stuff. Technically, physically, he could overeat. He could take things that could ruin his system, like drugs and everything. And this is amazing. Why? I mean, we should be at least like the animal, and we are so much worse, right? So that is the meaning of the body of a human being being blind. Being blind, the body himself do not know how much to take from the world. And usually, the tendency is to take much more than you really need. And when you take much more, you're going to ruin yourself. So the body is blind. Not just by food, by everything. By everything. The body is blind. The soul is the one who, as we said in the beginning, the neshama shenatata bi tehorai. It's pure. The neshama wants to do right, and inside each one of us, there is an inner voice that say, do what's right. And when you do not do what's right, this little guy inside come to you and say, come on, you're not behaving right. Take responsibility on your life. Be serious. Right? So the body and the souls are those two. And when Hashem created it, man, he took the two extremes. I always say that the worst shidduch in the world, the worst, is the body and the soul. Anything that interested the body, not interested the soul whatsoever, and vice versa. Vice versa. And God took those two extreme opposites, tied them together, and created a human being. You know actually what he did, by the way, because of this? He gave an amazing good financial situation to psychiatrists and psychologists. Because human being has in him the urge to do every fun things that the body demands, but on the other side he wants to be good. So anything that he do, one of the parts will not be happy. One of the parts, okay, that's caused confusion. The art of life is to realize that you have in you two opposite entities. You have to realize that. Many people do not even think about this. They're busy drinking beer. They have no time to think about life. But if you really think and take life seriously, you have to realize who you are. That you have a body, you have a soul. You do not need to deny each one of them. You have to relate to them, but you have to learn them. You have to learn what they need. And when you learn that they're pushing you to different directions. It's like you have a chariot, you have two horses, but they're not going this way. Each one goes this way. So the chariot stuck, right? It cannot go anywhere. So what is the art? I'll tell you something amazing. In the general philosophy in the world, many people realize this problem, that the body and the soul do not fit. They are not natural partners. What was the solution that people find for it? It's divided between the East and the West. In the East, they realize that the body and the soul are not the natural partners, right? So, two horses, each one take to different directions. What will be the solution? Shoot one of them. Which one? The material. The body. So who is a holy person in the East? Someone who is very spiritual. You know, he going away. He is like a priest that go away from people that do not really think. He go and stay in a very lonely mountain up there and diminish every physical thing. He is sleeping on a nail mattress and eat coals or things like this, you know. To be holy means fight the physical. Okay, good solution. This way, at least you will be complete with yourself. But you kill half of you. In the West, they just did just the opposite. They realized that spiritual and physical do not go together, so they kill the spiritual. No spiritual. Have fun. Do whatever you want. Don't tell anybody to tell you what to do. Do whatever you want to do in physical. Happy life, right? They are both wrong. Because we have body and we have soul. We cannot deny and ignore any one thing. So the art is to realize that they are there, to realize that there are differences, and try to train them to work together. You know what you have to do? If I'll continue the parable with the chariot and the horses. The two horses, one goes this way, one goes this way. Try to train them to go like this. And each one of them will, a little bit will move toward the other. Then they will be parallel to each other and they will go to the same direction. This is Judaism. Judaism is not to be spiritual and kill the physical. And not the other one, the other way, of course. You have to take the physical and sanctify it. How? And here's the thing. How do you take mundane stuff and sanctify them in order for your neshama to be happy too? You're not doing it just with your body. You do everything with both. Everything. If you live this way, you're a holy person. Because what is the definition of being holy? What's the definition of holiness? Holiness definition is the following. When I want to take a mundane, some regular stuff and make it holy. It's a separation. To be holy is to be separated. But it's not just separation. Elevate and separate. Elevate. What do I mean? Let me give you a way to really make it understood. If I take 7 cans of Coke, regular can of course, okay? I put them near each other, right? They're identical, they look the same, right? Now I want to take one of them and make it holy. If I just want to separate, I have many ways to separate. I put them in the same line, right? I take one, put it 1 inch, 2 inch, 10 inch ahead, right? It will be different, it will be separated, yes. I could take 1 can and put it 10 inches in the back. I could put it down, not in the same level. I could put it up. All of those are separation. But to sanctify or to make things holy, it's not just to separate and elevate. What is the meaning of elevate? Give it, put it in different realm. When you separate, but it's still in the physical dimension, it's not holy. It's different, but it's not holy. It's still among the limits of physical. When you take it up, put it in a different realm, you make it not just special, but sanctified. But let's understand it even deeper. We have 7 days in the week. 7 days. We take one and we make it holy, right? We do kiddush. We said this day is holy. It's different than the others. At the end of the day of Shabbat, we do havdalah, separation. So what actually are we doing? What is the meaning to do kiddush? To do kiddush is to take the day and say, this day is not a regular day. This is a day that I will emphasize more in the spirituality. Under the chuppah, we said, we put the ring, right? We say, Hareat mekudeshet li, kiddushin. Why it's kiddushin? Because it's unique. It's a covenant between a man and a woman. Until now, you were free to be with anyone you want. But from now on, you are connected. You are connected. This is kedusha. Hashem gave us a way to take every physical and give it a spiritual dimension, a spiritual meaning. And those are the mitzvot. The mitzvot, be aware that all the mitzvot are physical. You do the same thing like everybody else. Let me give you an example. A dog or cat need to drink. They go to the water and then drink. Human being need to drink. You take the water and drink. Animal could drink only in the material level. Only. It cannot do something else. Human being have a choice. He could drink or eat like an animal, but he could do something above the material by even the simple thing to say blessing before, to say the bracha before. I take a cup of water. Before I drink it, I need to drink because, I need to drink. The same way as any animal needs to drink. But before I drink, I declare something amazing. These simple words. Think about them. What we say before we drink water. Baruch ata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehakol nihiya bidvaro. So you remind yourself that everything that's around you, including you, it's not just happened to be here. Hashem said, Ki hu amar vayehi, vayomer vayehi, ki hu amar vayehi. Hashem said everything was in the words of God. We were created. So what actually I'm doing this? What actually I'm doing now when we're doing this? I'm taking the physical, and if I really think, that's called kavanah, where you really understand the words that you say and really mean them. I remind myself that I'm not just a physical. I remind myself, or ask myself, what is the purpose of life? What is the purpose of the creation? I remember before I do any physical thing that there is a creator. If there's a creator, there is a program, there is a plan, right? And I have to take into account the programmer, the creator, the plan, and what is my job in the entire system. I'm a little screw in the big system, right? But I need to know where I am standing. So if you really think about what you say, every physical action that any Jew do, regular that everyone else do, but always you give it spiritual meaning, you sanctify it. Now let me explain what is the meaning to elevate, how you elevate it. You elevate it because you take it out. Every physical thing that you give it spiritual meaning, you take it out from the death trap of the physical. Okay, let me explain this. Every physical element is limited by time and space. The limitation make it temporary. Let me explain. Every physical thing, in order to exist, needs a place. A place. No physical thing could be in two places at the same time. No physical entity could be in no place in any second, in any given time, right? It should be in some certain place. And the place limited to be here. Here is a limit. When I'm here, I'm not there. So the fact that physical things limited by space, it's put you here, only here. But there's another limit. It's called time. In the time scale, we have three imaginary points: past, present, and future. Everything on this line exists only on one little point. It's called present. The past is not here anymore. Dead. It's not here, the past. The future is still not here. Not yet. So what word do you have? The now. The now. So every physical thing exists in the here and in the now. Here and the now. The implication is that, let's just take even the limits of time. The limits of time made every physical thing temporary. In this line, the imaginary line, every physical thing at certain point in the past went on board of the timeline, goes with it, and now we are in the present. But because it went on board at certain point, for sure it must get off the board, get off the line at a certain point, and then it will not exist anymore, at least in the way it was before. So this is the death trap of the fact that we end over time. We could not exist forever, right? Now, when you not exist forever, the question is, what's the point to exist now? If you're going to die at the end, why to live before? And let me make it even more tragic. Listen, I have goodwill. I don't want to make it depressed. But it has to be saying this way, in a very, very strong way, in order to really understand it. Life are stupid. Because you know what you're doing? Every day and every minute that passed, getting you close to death, So when you ask a person, tell me, where are you going? Many people answer, I'm going to hear a lecture, I'm going to the grocery store, I'm going to take my kids to the kindergarten, I'm going to work, I'm going to the bank. All of these are very good answers, but they are not the right answer. You know, as a person who fly a lot, I fly a lot. I'm always on the way, on the road. You go to the airport, and they ask you, what is your destination? So sometimes you have multi-destinations, right? So you say, I'm going from New York to Los Angeles. So they ask you, let me be clear, what is your final destination? Right? So when you ask someone, anyone, where are you going? What is your final destination? Sorry about this, but you have to say it. The accurate answer will be, my destination is a cemetery. Not to bury someone else, to bury myself. Meanwhile, I'm going to the bank and I'm going to the grocery store. But the final destination is the grave. Is the grave.
Yes.
You're laughing, right? It's very funny. It's very you should be amused by this, right? But this is reality, right? People do not think about it because it's not pleasant to think about it. So let's just don't think about it. Do me a favor, don't talk about this. But this is reality. This is reality. So now is the question again. If at the end you die, what's the point to be alive before? Every minute that you're alive, you're going one step toward the grave. Wow. So this question by itself should make people stop and think. Stop and think.
Suicide.
You know what? Let me tell you something. You mentioned that. I was debating to say it or not. There are a philosophy that, a method, a theory in philosophy that adopted also by psychologists. And they ask, what is the main motive, the main motivation to live? So what they search it and they say, you know what, we got the bottom of this. Why every animal, every human being has urge to stay alive? Because they want to survive. Right? So this is the philosophy. You have built-in wants to survive. Now, psychologists who hold from this theory said, you know what? Based on this, we could explain everything that you do. Because you want to survive, you are willing to go to work, to have a career, to have money, to build a house, all of this because you want to survive. Okay? So that is, it makes sense, it sounds very logic, right? And people just use it in psychology. Problem is that to this philosophy of, the main motive to live is to survive. There is a sub-theory in this big theory. And when you add what they add, see what's going to happen. Those philosophers called irrational survivals. Meaning, okay, basically they agree that the main motive is to exist, but they are rational. And because they add the rational, they ask themselves, oh, let's see if that really works. Could you survive? Could you really survive? So they got to a very sad conclusion that you cannot survive, really. You could survive more. And let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 5 buddies, very good friends, from the age of the teenager. With each other, doing a lot of activity together, very good friends. Group of 5, let's say, boys, or boys and girls, doesn't matter. They went through a lot together. They learned in the same high school. They went to the same camps. In Israel, they went to the army together. And after they got married, each one were in the other weddings. And they also know the spouse and become very good group. At the age of 19, let's say, one of them decided. He read a books about, being a vegetarian. In the beginning, it was with everyone, going, do parties, eat steaks and things like this. One of them read a book and got really touched by it and said, wow, this is true. Okay, so he started to become vegetarian. And health was very, very important to him. So he stopped eating with everyone. When everyone was going to a restaurant, they, eat everything. He was eating only lettuce and water. That's it. It's become, more and more severe because he registered to a gym and he was 3 hours a day in a gym. And that's it. He become so addicted to it's important for him to be healthy. So many of the things that they do, because they were buddies, they were friends, they were still do together. But they in the beginning they thought, maybe it's just a temporary thing. He will be normal again soon. But it never happened. He was so serious about it. So they got used to this. Years passed, and they're still good friends. And they know that he is joking about 3 days, going to a gym, eating lettuce and water. That's it. Okay, fine, good. Times passed. They become 40, 50, 60. At the age of 65, it started. He started to get phone calls, and the phone calls was very tragic. This member of the group got cancer, and about a few months after he passed away. The other one got a heart attack. From the age of 65 to the age of 77, he buried all his friends. All of them died for different reasons. And he, really healthy, 77 years old, good shape, good health, but he's alone. No more friends. Okay, he continued his life. He got to the 87. 10 years passed and he's alone, but he's still very healthy. So it was worth, right? He lived another 5 years. He's now 82. And he's still healthy. At the age 92. Okay? At the age of 96, one morning, they found him dead in his bed. Healthy, but dead.
He was not hybrid.
What?
He was asleep.
Yeah. He died very natural way. No pain. But dead. Dead.
96.
96. Okay, 92, 96, whatever. Now, as the rational survivors, philosophers, let's see. It was worth it. Since the age of 65, right? He's alone for almost 30 years. No friends. A lot of criticism about all these little guys that become now prime ministers and presidents and do stupid stuff. But he has no one to share with his thought because all his friends passed away. And even if he's healthy, he's very lonely. And at the end, he died also. So what's the point? What actually this guy gained by being, separating from all the fun of the world? Maybe it's worth to eat not healthy. Anyways, you're going to die. Anyways, doesn't matter. Another few years, big deal. Big deal. I'm talking about that. So what's the big deal? When you look at this, it's really tragic. What is the purpose of life? You going to your grave. Sorry. You're going to your grave. Every day you become closer to your grave. That's so depressing. So those guys who are rational survivors wrote a whole books, and some of them did it. They said that the best solution to this problem is to commit suicide now. Because it's all an illusion. And some of them did it. They commit suicide. They say, I understood the principle of life. It's all tricky. Forget about it. I will not let life trick me. I'm going to die now.
So that's the version of suicide.
What?
That's why Muslim suicide.
No. Muslim has another stupid stuff. Muslims are not smart. Are not that smart. Yeah. They have another stupid reason why to commit suicide. Anyways. Right. So the question is, what is the purpose of life? If you look at this in the real way, this is reality. What I just drew over here is not fairy tale. This is reality. The fairy tale is the illusion that we have when we are not thinking about it. So don't think about it. It's not going to happen. Come on. Wow. But I'm not here to make you depressed. I'm here to give you a hope. And listen. Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, wrote a whole book in the Tanakh. He wrote 3 books. One of them is Sefer Kohelet. Don't even try to teach me how to say it in English, because I heard it so many times I could not remember how to say it in English. Kohelet. Okay? Sefer Kohelet. Kohelet in Hebrew means he gathered together people and teach them his wisdom. In Sefer Kohelet there are 12 chapters. The entire book is so depressing. You start the book, it starts the following. Divrei Kohelet ben David Melech B'Yerushalayim. Those are the words of Kohelet. Kohelet was a nickname of Shlomo HaMelech because he was, again, sharing his wisdom when he gathered together people. That's why he called Kohelet. Divrei Kohelet, the son of David, a king in Yerushalayim. Okay, this is a presentation. Now, what he says. He gave you what the point of view of the wisdom. By the way, the Tanakh says that he was the wise person ever. Hashem gave him wisdom that he never gave to anyone before him or after him. So he dedicated this book to give you the point of view of wisdom on life. And you know what he's saying? The next verse. Havel havalim amar Kohelet, Havel havalim hakol havel. 7 times. Hevel is nonsense. Nonsense of nonsense, says Kohelet. Nonsense of nonsense of nonsense, everything is nonsense. That's what he said. There is no sense to anything. So how Shlomo HaMelech could say such a thing? In a way, he was so smart and Hashem gave him his wisdom. When he said such a thing, if you really mean it, he gave not a very good mark to the Creator. So God create nonsense? So it doesn't make any sense, right? So the next verse explained it. The next verse, after he said everything is nonsense, he says, מה יתרון לאדם בכל עמלו שיעמול תחת השמש? What is the benefit for a man, for a human being, in all the effort that he is doing under the sun? So many people who do not really know how to learn Tanakh, under the sun, he was like a poet, under the sun. What is the meaning of under the sun? The sun is the planet that through it we calculate time. time is, sunset, sunrise, day, another day, a year after year. So who is in charge of this? The sun. So every time, and he mentioned those words in Sefer Kohelet many times, under Tachat HaShemesh, under the sun. Every time that he said under the sun, translated or put instead of it, under the time limits. So he said the following, My Yitron L'Adam, there is no benefit for any human being in all the effort that he put under the sun. Says Rashi, on this pasuk, Rashi, the commentator Rashi, bring the Midrash, and the Midrash says the following, Tachat HaShemesh en Yitron, under the sun there is no benefit, but above the sun there is a benefit. What's above the sun? Above the sun is the things that above the limit of time. When Hashem created the world, He created the world like Shamayim va'aretz. I don't like the translation, heaven and earth, because no one knows what heaven is. You know what? People do not even know what earth is. Earth is not just planet Earth. Aretz is the physical dimension in the universe, and Shamayim is the spiritual dimension in the universe. The sun is the time. Hashem created two kinds of basic elements, physical and spiritual. Physical is limited by time and space. Spiritual is not limited by time and space, and therefore they're above the sun. So what Shlomo HaMelech wants to tell you in the entire book, that there is no point if you stay under the sun. If you go only for the physical, that limited by time, there's no sense for this. Why? Because it's temporary. You could get whatever you want. You're going to leave it. They're going to take it from you when you die. It's not going to stay with you. So what's the point? Give me the best present. Take it from me after 5 minutes. So why did you give it to me? To give me an illusion? The frustration? Why? What's the point? And it doesn't matter if it's for 5 minutes, 5 years, or 50 years. If at the end it's not going to be with me, don't give it to me in the first place. But this is it. So says Shlomo Melech, I'm looking around and see all the people in the world stuck under the sun. They realize the physical, they ignore the spiritual, they did everything, they go and build and gain money and get another real estate, another car, another helicopter, another... What for? You enjoy it for 5 minutes and then 5 minutes. 10 years, 70 years, 80 years. But then it's not yours. So you made so much effort for nothing at the end. So people will say, you know what? Okay, but this is life. This is the mistake. Who said that this is life? People do not know themselves. They see themselves as the physical entities, but they forget that they have inside a spiritual neshama, a spiritual soul. And this thing is above the sun, is above the limits of time and space. And when you want to live your life in the right way, most of the people of the world live only partial, the physical. Most of the people of the world do not know that they have such a thing called soul. And even those who heard that there is such a thing, they have no clue what is this and how to operate it. So Shlomo Melech said, it's a waste. What are you doing? You're doing to your grave. You understand? You're going to your grave. So you gain in the way to the grave $1 million. But you're going to the grave. It's like someone who fell from a very high building. Let's say the Empire State Building. You know, it's about maybe, 90 floors. He fell down. At the 50th floor, people ask him, how do you feel? He says, so far so good. It's nice, I'm flying. So far so good. But you're gonna be smashed, or someone go on a trip. You go on a train in Europe. You go on a trip in Europe. You take a train from West Europe to East Europe. He's on a train, hear music, but you know where the train going to? Auschwitz. So what's the point? If you know that you go to Auschwitz, you could enjoy anything on the way. You going to the grave. You cannot enjoy anything in the world. Okay, it's all illusion. But is it that tragic? Here's the solution. Yes, if you're staying in the physical, it's very tragic. It doesn't make any sense. But because you're not just physical, you have a neshama, you have a soul. And it's not just, okay, you know what, my soul will survive my body, forget about it. No. Hashem gave you in the body as a temporary entity in order for you to take the temporary and make it eternal. It's eternal. It's not just the soul that will survive. Your body could be surviving, it's up to you. How? If you take the physical needs of the body and give them spiritual meanings. When you give it a spiritual meaning, you take it out of the death trap of the physical reality. How? Let me just add this, and without this very deep, and without we will finish. Imagine, I want to just show how you could take physical, elevate it, and take it out of the physical. Imagine I'm going to the forest, chop a piece of wood from a tree, bring it over here, put it in the middle of the room. Okay? I have here a part of a trunk of a tree. And I'll ask intelligent people, what is this? What will be the answer? A piece of wood. Piece of wood, right? Now, this piece of wood has material and a form, right? The form is primitive. It's raw material. But there is some form in it? Yes. Now, if I take the same piece of wood in front of you, in front of your eyes, and make out of it a table, put it, chop it, make out of it a table, and I repeat the question, what is this? What will be the answer? Table. Some people who are very thorough will say, wood table. But many people will skip the wood altogether. They'll say table. Now let me ask you a question. If I take non-intelligent creature, not human beings, let's say I'll take a cat. It's okay, the language, I learned the language of the cat. I could make the conversation of the cat. And I'll ask the same two questions. I'll take a piece of wood, put it in the middle of the room, ask the cat or a bunch of cats, what is this? What will be the answer? Wood. Meow. That's what will answer. Then, in front of their eyes, I will make out of this wood a table. And repeat the question, what is this? What will be the answer?
Yeah.
Wood. Meow. They will not able to answer, this is a table. Why? Because in order to say this is a table, you have to be intelligent and understand the meaning of it. The meaning is not physical. Is not physical. So, in both cases, be aware, in our flesh eyes, we see wood. It was wood before, it was after. In what eyes we see the table? Not in the physical eyes, but in the intellectual eyes. Right? The intellectual is not physical. If it was physical, the cat will answer the same answer. It's not physical. So, what makes this wood a table?
The purpose.
Where is the table here in the wood? Where is it? It's not in the table. It's in your mind. It's in your mind. Without understanding the meaning, you will never see table over here. You will see wood. Right? Now, the thing is that the meaning could be recognized only through the material wood. Because, where is the table over here? This is the table. Where's the table? This is the material. Where is the table? In the form, right? Where's the form? The form, you cannot see the form in your eyes, in your physical eyes. But where is the form over here? You know where? I'll tell you where. Here. At the edge of the material, you could realize the form. Imagine, theoretically, that you will separate the form from the material. you know what's going to happen? Thank you. You will never be able to see the form. Form could be recognized only when it's connected to a physical. Only. By the way, Rambam, Maimonides, called angels, malachim, he described them as forms that doesn't have physical. So it's a form that disconnects from any physical. Therefore, you could not see them. Because you could see, in the same way, souls. When the soul is out of the body, you could not see it. When the soul inside the body, you could not see it, but you know that the soul is there. So the physical has a very important role. Only through it you could recognize the non-physical, right? But the physical is limited, is limited by time and space. The non-physical is not limited by time and space. So when you take physical thing, give it a right shape, a right form, you sanctified it. You take it out of being just wood, and it's something even bigger than that. And with this, we'll finish. Every mitzvah that we do is taking physical and give it a spiritual meaning. And when you give it a spiritual meaning, it's not limited by time and space anymore. It's connected to the spiritual, which is above the sun, has no limits. But this itself sanctified, because the physical itself, only through it, you could connect it to the spiritual. Let me finish with a story. You know about Chassidut. You know there are Chassiduyot shonot. There are many Chassiduyot. There is Gur and Satmer and Majitz and Chabad and Breslov. Many Chassiduyot. So there is something in the Chassiduyot that they have a Rabbi. This is a custom of the Rabbi to do a tish. You know what a tish? Tish is a table. Meaning they open a table, all the Hasidim come, and the Rebbe sit in the front, and he make a bracha, because the Rebbe, the Rav is very, the Admor, the Rebbe is very holy person. He take, let's say, a piece of challah, not a piece, a challah, or an apple, and make a bracha in real kavana, very deep kavana, and he cut part of the apple and he eat it. Then the Hasidim wants to also get something from this apple that the Rebbe gave it such a very great bracha. So he take the apple and cut it to many, many pieces and give each one of the Hasidim one piece, and it's great things to have a piece of the apple that the Rebbe made the bracha on it, right? So the story says the following. Once, it was a Rebbe, very holy person, he did dish, and he took an apple and he made a bracha, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei pri ha'etz, and he ate from the apple and he cut and gave the Hasidim. About the third or fourth person that was there was a Hasid that thought to himself, you know what, why are we doing from that such a big deal? So the Rabbi did a bracha. I'm also didn't do bracha when I'm eating apple. I'll not eat without bracha. So what's the difference between the Rabbi and me? He thought to himself. He didn't say anything. He just thought. So the Rabbi looked at him and realized what he's thinking. How? Don't ask me. So the Rabbi told him, let me tell you what the difference. Let me tell you what the difference between me and you. Let's start from you. You woke up in the morning, you need to eat, right? So you prefer for yourself, for sure, a kosher meal with all the chumras, everything will be in the right way. And before you eat, you say bracha, because you have to thank God that give you ability to eat, right? That's the way you works. So you want to eat. You are not a stealer. You know that it's God. So you say thank you, you ask permission, and then you eat. That's the way you function. Let me tell you how I function, says the Rabbi. I wake up in the morning and I'm aware that God gave me another amazing opportunity, a whole day to do such a good things. I want to thank Him. So I want to bless Him. But I could not. You're not allowed to say blessing for nothing. So I take an apple. So I take an apple in order to make the bracha on something. So it comes from the opposite thing. You need to eat, and you do the bracha in order to eat. I need to bless God, and I take the physical in order to thank Him. Okay? So that should be the right approach. When you take everything that here in the world, the Gemara says, "Le'olam chayav adam lomar," always everyone should say, "Bishvili nivra ha'olam." The entire world was created for me. And it's true, for me. And everything that around me, I could take and I could use, and I have free will. How to do it? I could do it under the sun, and there is no point in this way. You know, it doesn't matter how many apples you eat in your life. At the end, you go into the grave with all the apples. But if you say bracha, you put it, this physical was a vessel to reveal the endless, the unlimited spiritual. This is the meaning to sanctify things. This is the meaning of Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav. The mitzvahs make us getting out of it. And at the end of Sefer Kohelet, after 12 chapters, that Shlomo HaMelech says, this is nonsense, and this is nonsense, and I tried, and I was very wise, and I had a lot of money, and because of that, there is nothing that I could not try, and I tried everything, and I did this, and this, and this, and after I did it, I realized it's nonsense, it's nonsense, it's nonsense, everything is nonsense. So we finish 12 chapters with a lot of details, and this nonsense, this. What should be the conclusion? So at the end of the book, he said, conclusion, in Hebrew, sof davar. What's the bottom line? So he said the following. sof davar, hakol nishma, et haelokim yira, ve'et mitzvotav shmor, ki ze kol ha'adam. And you do not understand how this is the solution. You explain so in details the problem. The problem is so clear. And then he said, you know what? Don't commit suicide. Don't commit suicide. That should be the conclusion. If everything is nonsense, commit suicide. No, he didn't recommend this. Don't commit suicide. Solve the vow. What's the conclusion? Et Elohim yira, fear from God, and do His mitzvahs. Keep His mitzvahs. How this take me out of the problem? I think we explained this. When you take the physical and give it a spiritual meaning, you take the physical out of the death trap of time and space, and this is your portion. This is you. This is you for eternal. This is your eternity. With this, I want to wish everyone to understand what we learned, internalize it, and Be'ezrat Hashem, be much better human beings and Jews. Thank you.